Greetings, beings of the internet. My name is Luke, and wow, have I not touched this channel in a long time. But now I am done with college, and I feel as though I am in a better mindset to return to this channel and continue working on it. And I figured, why not ruin that mindset by returning with a video about an individual who has become fairly prominent on my For You page recently, and that is Candi Morris. Now, you might recognize her as she had an original TikTok page that I think just had her name as the username, and she would talk about being an estranged parent, but now, as every great content creator has been seeming to do, she has decided to start a podcast, and we usually know how stuff like this goes. Now, if you are not familiar with Candi Morris, her podcast is known as Estranged and Rearranged, where she discusses what it is like from her point of view to be an estranged parent and gives other estranged parents advice. Now, before we dive too deep into this, I do want to say that something that I'm about to point out is only alleged and has not been stated to be a fact. First things first. When it comes to learning about Candi, you might want to know why she is an estranged parent. What could have possibly caused her kids to estrange from her? And I would say that this would have to do with her allegedly, possibly, marrying not one, but two registered sex offenders. And these men of whom she allegedly married have been accused of assaulting her son and her nephew. Allegedly. As far as I know, right now, she has not said anything about these allegations, and I have seen people saying to where she has taken the route of sarcasm in response to some of it. If you want a little more of a clear explanation on these allegations, I highly recommend Ray Like Sunshine's video on her, as he dives a little more into her backstory and stuff and gives an explanation on why these allegations exist, where he deep dives through marriage records and dates. I'd recommend watching that after this video. But anyways, now knowing these allegations that are against her, I would rather focus on some of the topics she and her guests discuss and analyze them from the point of view as someone who is an estranged adult child from a parent. And I'm going to start by showing one of the videos that was my first impression of her podcast.
They already decided they know based on social media. That's exactly what a lot of us parents are experiencing. The parent asks for conversation, and that gets called manipulative. A parent cries, and it gets called, you're being a victim. A parent says, I miss my child, and it's called guilt tripping. A parent says, help me understand, and gets told, you should already know. A different memory becomes gaslighting. A hard conversation becomes, again, unsafe or abusive. A flawed parent becomes toxic. And now there are toxic parents everywhere.
This is a great start. We are already finding somewhere else to pin the blame and being overly vague about the things that we are saying. Now, when looking at the context that she gives, someone who hasn't done anything wrong could ask, well, how is it wrong for a parent to ask these things, or how can they be viewed as manipulative when they ask these things? When we don't have full context, like she does, it can be easy for some people who aren't dealing with this situation to put the child in the wrong. With almost any of the connections she tries to make here, it all matters on how the person asks or does something for it to either be wanting to reach a genuine understanding or lying and just trying to give the illusion that things are fixed for their own personal benefit. Now, a parent can ask for a genuine conversation, and that could be fine. But if they are trying to guilt trip the other person into a conversation, then yes, then it can become manipulative. And they are allowed to cry. People are allowed to cry if they are upset. But if it becomes a way for them to avoid accountability or make the other person feel bad for them, then that's where that manipulative and toxic behaviors come in. Also, if there is something that a parent genuinely does not understand, they can ask, but it's beneficial to be specific and ensure clear communication. But if they have had this same topic explained to them over and over again in a multitude of different ways to try and create an understanding, then at some point, yes, I feel like they should likely already know most of the reasons and figure out how to think about it, reflect, and take accountability to start rebuilding that relationship. With her being so vague in some of her videos about the stuff that she says, and when viewing it from a certain perspective, the video of itself can seem manipulative because it can twist the narrative by not providing full context. Moving on, let's look at this clip she has from an episode with a guest she brought on known as Tracy Malone. As introduced by Candi, Tracy Malone is stated to be a coach/educator who helps victims of narcissistic abuse rebuild their lives. That fact is important, judging by what we are about to hear Tracy say in this clip.
If your goal is to get back your child and your grandchildren, then sometimes you have to say these things even if you don't mean them. Just, I'm sorry for the ways that I hurt you. Will they accept it? 50-50, probably not.
Wow.
Oh boy, but you don't want to be viewed as the manipulative one. Make it make sense. You don't like being painted in a manipulative way, but then you turn around and encourage lying to people about being sorry for the issues that you have caused them just to have your way. You want people to live in delusion only to cater to you so you can have what you want. It really sounds just so me about everything. You're entitled and you don't seem to care about lying to others, although if they did it to you, then you would be the one hurt and crying out. And what could that possibly be a trait of? Let me think. Oh, that's right. A narcissist. The fact that Tracy here works with victims of these behaviors does not seem good when she encourages stuff like this, and Candi only reinforces it in her caption by stating, sometimes an apology is necessary, even if it's not fully meant. It's complicated. And to me, it's really not complicated. You have to understand what you did wrong. You have to have civil conversations, reflect on your behaviors, realize how much it hurt the people around you, try putting yourself in their shoes, and after serious reflection, you have to apologize sincerely from the heart and take true accountability. I know what it's like to have a false apology, and what usually follows after it is only more manipulation and guilt-tripping to try and make the victim feel bad. False apologies are frustrating and are an easy way to tear down trust, because in most cases, an apology is only a start. Change then has to be seen, because that genuinely shows that your character is developing, that you realized what you have done wrong. But if you turn around after that apology and continue your toxic and manipulative behaviors, then it becomes really clear and other people will realize that you never meant anything by that apology, and that will only make getting your family back harder for you because you have broken down that trust. Now, other than blaming social media, Candi here also likes to blame therapy for adult kids deciding to cut off their parents or other relatives, but to make it clear, in a different video, she says she's not against therapy as a whole, but she is just against that type of therapy, whatever that could mean. But let's see if we can get an explanation by listening to her opinion anyways.
If a therapist only hears one version, and that version is validated over and over, and then that version becomes the reason to cut off parents, grandparents, siblings, cousins, and an entire set of families, which is what happened with me, that deserves to be questioned, not dismissed, questioned. Therapy should be careful with that kind of power.
Do we genuinely not know how therapy works anymore? If it is one-on-one therapy, of course the therapist is going to hear the victim's side. This is the reason the victim is going to therapy. Does she think that most people with trauma are going to therapy to make up stories and lies about their lives? Like, what could a person possibly benefit from making up a fake story in therapy? Because I feel like it would be very difficult to try and live in delusion because you yourself know that story isn't true to begin with. Also, in what world would a therapist or anyone with a decent amount of common sense encourage someone to continue interacting with someone who has caused them harm in the past and then continues to be manipulative about it? Therapy is there to act as a way of advice to the patients. It's not like the therapists are sitting there threatening their patients saying you must cut off those who are hurting you. They could just be saying that would be an option that is favorable to the patient's healing. In the end, it is that person's decision. whether they want to go no contact or not. The therapist is not forcing them to do anything, or at least I would hope not. Now, that is just one of her opinions on therapy, and I have one more example to show you.
Good therapy should help you tell the truth, not just rehearse your side. And good therapy should not turn your pain into a permission slip to destroy every relationship that makes you uncomfortable. And that's what I see everywhere. Therapy is supposed to help people grow up emotionally, not just learn better words for cutting people off. And those words are everywhere. Again, therapy itself is not our enemy. No, it's not. Bad therapy is the problem. Lazy therapy is the problem. And social media therapy is a big problem. One-sided validation that never asks better questions is the problem. So when therapy is truly needed, there are times therapy is absolutely needed. When somebody's been abused, dealing with panic, depression, anxiety, domestic violence, addiction, trauma.
Yes, therapy can help you tell and or realize the truth. It could help you better recall repressed events and open a person's eyes to more truth or more things that happened in their life that they might not remember, because that is a trauma response to repress those traumatic memories. I know that was a very redundant way of saying that, but I hope you can still understand my point. Also, why should a person hold on to a relationship that makes them uncomfortable or feel stuck as a person, like they cannot grow, which you said therapy is there to help them grow? They shouldn't hold on to something that is preventing that growth. And she's also not one to be talking about growing up emotionally when she has taken to sarcasm and using AI images of herself to retaliate and respond to people. And an emotionally mature person would be able to have empathy and not feel the need to just lie so they can have their way. It sounds quite childish, doesn't it? I could probably be here for like a good hour, probably more, just breaking down and analyzing some of her topics, as this is something that I can relate to. Also, I have one more side note. Candi here said that she had worked 32 years in a child welfare career, which, seeing her alleged history and her current takes, is extremely concerning. I think a little more of a background check or something should have been done there, but I'm not sure that lined up with the timing of her alleged past. And like I said, I recommended that video earlier if you wanted to check it out, because Ray Like Sunshine also happens to be one of the people that she responded to with an AI-generated picture of herself as shown here. Now, for today, I think I have listened to just about as much of Candi as I can handle, but I will most likely discuss her and a few other estranged mothers down the line. I have a lot of topics that I want to discuss, and I'm very happy to return to this channel. To wrap it up, if you guys want to hear more about her later, let me know in the comments, and along with that, if you guys have any thoughts, stories, informations, comments about Candi, or how you feel about her podcast, share it in the comments and we can all discuss. Thank you so much for watching. I'm very glad to be back, and enjoy your next internet endeavor.